In His Will Ministries International presents Stories for My Grandson. Hi, grandson. Grandma has a story for you. Are you ready? Let's go. Well, grandson, we're still doing the Ten Commandments, and we're on Commandment 3, I think. Thou shalt not bow down. Thou shalt have one, two. Yeah, we're on 3. Well, we might be 4. Okay. Well, our next commandment is remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it you shall not do any work, you nor your son nor your daughter, nor your manservant nor maidservant, nor your cattle nor your stranger that is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Hallowed means made it holy. And so, grandson, that was Exodus chapter 20, verses 7. No, verses 8 through 11. Grandson, we should keep every day holy. We should live our lives every day holy. And so, Jesus in Mark chapter 2, verse 27 says, the Sabbath was made for man and not man for the Sabbath. And so the Sabbath was made to remind man to rest. We need rest. And so the Sabbath day was meant for everybody to rest. All the workers, all the employers, the wives, the kids, everybody to rest. So the Sabbath is God's way of telling us to rest. Now, different religions or different denominations choose different days to be holy. So some say it's Saturday, some say it's Sunday. I'm not going to get into all that. All I'm going to say is the point is that rest is very important. And so a youngin like you should have 8 to 9 hours of rest a night. An old chick like your gamma, she needs about 8 to 9 hours too. And you know what? I know that neither one of us ever get that much sleep. But here's the story. So Jesus says, um, so the Pharisees were complaining, and they're like, well, um, how do your disciples do that? So Jesus and the disciples were walking through a field. And so the disciples was hungry. So they just grabbed some corn off the stalk and was eating corn and walking. And the Pharisees were like, why are your followers doing that? Like, why are your disciples doing that on the Sabbath? He's been confronted about the Sabbath a few times. Um, and so he's like, look, David ate the showbread from the temple. Like, nobody was supposed to eat that bread but the priest. But the priest gave it to them because they were hungry and he was the king. And so, you know, and that's his way of saying, okay, so we don't always live up to the letter of the law. There are always circumstances why we don't live to the letter of the law. He explained again on the Sabbath when he was healing someone that, like, who of you and your animal fell in a hole on the Sabbath? Are you not going to get your animal out of the hole? So it's like you can't say you're not going to let your animal sit there till Monday or Sunday, whatever you're not going to let your animal sit in a hole until the Sabbath is over. No, you're going to get your animal out. Or if your child fell in a hole, you're going to get your child out. But that's work. And I find it amusing also for people that say they keep the Sabbath holy. But if you go to church on your Sabbath, if you usher, if you preach, if you're a trustee or a deacon, if you have any type of position in the church, you're working on the Sabbath. Right? So um I I don't get into um the Sabbath day rhetoric. I do espouse the belief that Sabbath means to rest and that is God's gift to us and his reminder to us that we need to rest. If you don't get enough sleep, your body starts to break down. So does your mind. Rest is very, very important, physically and spiritually. Well, grandson, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. And you should live every day holy. It shouldn't take a special day for you to be holy just on Sunday or just on Saturday. Just on Saturday, I'm going to live holy. But the whole rest of the week, I'm going to raise all kinds of mess. No, you're supposed to live holy every day. A day shouldn't be set aside for you to live holy. That's every day. So every day we live holy and every day we rest. All right, grandson. Well, guess what? Grandma loves you, but Jesus loves you more. And join us again next time when Inniswell Ministries International presents Stories for My Grandson. Until then, bye.